What if I told you the fireworks you enjoy every 5th of November are rooted in one of the most savage punishments in human history? No, it wasn't just a failed bombing plot. This story is bloodier, darker, and far more disturbing than you were ever taught. Before we dive in, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Smash that like button, share this video with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe to Legacy Files for more mind-blowing historical stories they never taught you in school. London, 1605. The air was thick with fear. Protestant King James I sat on the throne, paranoid about Catholic plots. And in the shadows of this political tension, a man named Guy Fawkes was about to ignite one of the most controversial chapters in English history. Guy wasn't just any revolutionary. He was a devout Catholic, a soldier, and a man who'd seen the brutal suppression of his faith firsthand. And he was done watching his people suffer. So, with a heart full of rage and a mind sharpened by military training, he joined a group of fanatics determined to wipe the government off the face of the earth literally. Their plan: blow up the House of Lords during the state opening of Parliament. Every important figure in British politics and royalty would be under one roof, the perfect target. They called it the Gunpowder Plot, and they meant business. They smuggled 36 barrels of gunpowder beneath the Parliament building, enough to turn Westminster into ashes. And who was in charge of lighting the fuse? None other than Guy Fawkes himself. But here's where it gets messy, very messy. Because someone within their ranks got cold feet. An anonymous letter was sent to a lord, warning him not to attend Parliament that day. It was suspicious, too suspicious. A search was ordered, and in the dark of night, on November 4th, guards descended into the cellar. There, holding a lantern and surrounded by explosives, was Guy Fawkes. He didn't beg, he didn't run, he gave them a name that wasn't his. He faced his arrest like a man ready to die. But death wouldn't come quickly, or easily. King James wanted answers, names, details, confessions, and he wanted them extracted the old-fashioned way, through torture. Now, torture in 1605 wasn't just waterboarding or sleep deprivation. No, this was medieval England. This was the rack, the manacles, and the iron boots. Guy Fawkes was stretched until his joints snapped. Suspended by his wrists for hours. Every day, every hour, his pain intensified. But he stayed silent. For days, he gave them nothing. Just clenched teeth and broken bones. But eventually, even the strongest will crumble. Guy signed a confession, barely legible. A shaking scrawl from a man who could no longer hold a quill. Now came the trial, but it was a show. Everyone already knew the verdict, guilty of high treason. And in those days that came with a punishment so grotesque, it sounds like horror fiction. He was sentenced to be *** hanged, drawn, and quartered ***. Let me explain what that actually means. First, he would be dragged through the streets on a wooden board behind a horse, not exactly a limousine ride. Then, he would be hanged until he was almost dead, just on the edge of death. Conscious, aware, and feeling every second of it. Next, his body would be sliced open from the chest down, his intestines pulled out, still alive. Then, his genitals would be cut off, burned before his eyes. And finally, his heart would be ripped from his chest. All while the crowd watched, cheering like it was theater. His body would then be chopped into 4 parts and displayed in different corners of the country as a warning. Sounds like a nightmare, right? But here's the twist: Guy Fawkes escaped this horror, sort of. As he climbed the gallows, he jumped deliberately, broke his neck, died instantly, denying the executioner the satisfaction of mutilating a living man? But they still carried out the ritual. His body was butchered and sent around the kingdom. Today, we light fireworks in his name. But what are we really celebrating? The survival of Parliament? Or the savage spectacle of a man's brutal death? This story isn't just about rebellion, it's about how fear can turn justice into vengeance. How power, when threatened, reveals its most cruel face. And how a man with a cause can become both a terrorist and a martyr. Imagine planning a revolution so precise, so ruthless, that you and your fellow conspirators nearly reshape history only for it all to crumble because someone got scared. That's what happened to Guy Fawkes. But who was the coward that slipped the letter? Was it betrayal? Or a setup? Historians have debated this for centuries. Some say it was Francis Tresham, one of the plotters himself, trying to protect his brother-in-law. Others suggest the letter was forged by the government as a trap, a masterstroke of deception. Could it be that Guy Fawkes and his men were manipulated from the start, that they were meant to be caught? That their punishment was planned to send a message across every corner of England? Think about it. King James I was facing resistance. What better way to unite the people than to expose a plot so vile, so terrifying, that all opposition would evaporate in fear? The Gunpowder Plot, whether real or orchestrated, became the ultimate propaganda weapon. And Guy Fawkes, willingly or not, became the sacrificial symbol. And what about the punishment itself? Why so brutal? Why so public? Because it wasn't just about justice. It was theater, political theater. Each slice of the blade, each scream, each cheer from the crowd was part of a calculated performance, designed to terrify anyone even thinking of rebellion? The public needed a villain, a monster, and the state served him up on a wooden platter. But here's the twist: Guy Fawkes didn't fade into infamy. He became a legend. His face, now immortalized in masks around the world, has become the symbol of protest, resistance, and anonymous defiance. Yes, the same man who tried to blow up Parliament is now a pop culture icon. From hackers to activists, from comic books to global movements, his legacy echoes louder than the gunpowder ever did. And here's where it gets truly ironic. The British government, which once tore his body apart, now sells masks of his face during protests. His image is worn by those who seek freedom from the very systems he once tried to destroy. So, what are we really celebrating every November 5th? A failure, or a spark, a warning, or a promise? The truth is, the line between villain and hero is razor thin. And history, as always, is written by the survivors. But the dead, sometimes they leave behind more than bones. They leave behind an idea, a mask, a question. Was Guy Fawkes a madman with a match, or a man who refused to kneel? Let us know in the comments what you think. Was the punishment justified? Or was it a political show of brutality meant to scare the masses? Subscribe for more insane stories from the shadows of history. And remember, behind every mask, behind every myth, is a truth just waiting to be uncovered.